building rapport fast. The one thing that I always did, from 2009 to 2015, I ran a proper telesales life insurance operation. And the big thing that was all written on all of our walls in big capital letters, bold, was smile before you dial. That the power of smiling before you call somebody, it comes across. And that first impression is absolutely everything. You have to capture your prospects, your leads' attention as quickly as you possibly can. So smile before you dial. Take that attitude into everything when you're making phone calls. Once you've then got your prospect on the phone, you need to be saying, have you got a minute? Don't say, have you got time? Or anything along those lines. Break it down to, have you got a minute? Have you got 60 seconds? Because everybody is going to say yes. And we've all been on the phone call where someone turns around and says, I haven't got any time at all. Well, have you got a minute? Have you got 60 seconds? And then 30 minutes later, you're still talking. It's probably more important with new leads, particularly if you're buying them. But you need to make sure that you're getting in there as soon as you can and setting the expectation, going back to the process one, right from the off within the first couple of minutes. The next thing you can do is use their name at least 3 times. Hi Anil, how are you? Hi Matt, good morning. Hi Daniel, Gary calling from Active Mortgage. And use it thereafter. Okay Daniel, I understand. Okay Sam, yeah, I get it. That is so important, because that immediate rapport, it's so weird when you say your own name, isn't it? But actually someone hearing you say their name, it builds more rapport. It's the subconsciousness that you're utilizing. But utilizing things like, I'm sure like me, you think that mortgages are relatively difficult to get, or I'm sure like me you think mortgages might be easy. If you use the terminology like me, Sam, like me, I think you'll probably agree, it's just one of those subtle little things that you can use within your language that helps to build rapport, because you're going into the subconscious talking about like me. So once you've used their name three times, the big thing is remember the sales patter, 2 ears, 1 mouth. And once you've listened twice as much as you've spoken, they speak, you repeat. You always repeat back to your prospect, your lead, even your client, what they have said in their language. Don't use your own language. Don't use your own interpretation. If you're not clear on it, then you need to make sure that you repeat it back you ask a question so that therefore you can understand, and then you repeat it back in their language. It's so important to use their language, particularly if you're selling. So for example, if your client turns around and says, it's really important for us to make sure the kids go to school, if anything were to happen to either one of us, that they can continue on after school and go to university. If you turn around and say, so let me just confirm, it's really important for your children to continue after school and go on to university. That subtle difference in language is going to make a huge difference to the rapport that you build with your client and also the results that you get. And then finally, it's about pacing and leading. When your prospect first gets onto the phone, when you're getting them talking, you need to pace, i.e. you need to match their speed, their tone, the language that they're using. You need to let them start the pace, but then you have to take it over and control it. But if you come in up here at 100 miles an hour and really loud, and they're really slow and quiet, you need to bring yourself down and therefore speed them up. So you have to pace and lead, and that doesn't happen straight from the off. That's a technique that takes some time, but listen to how they're speaking and start off at the same level that they are. And particularly when you're looking to get in for the close, you need to get that element of excitement going. You need to get them to speed up. So there's some key fundamental things that you need to think about when building rapport with your prospects. If you do not have rapport straight from day one, you are not going to be able to ask the tricky questions around protection. You're not going to be able to have difficult conversations. You're not going to have enough rapport to be able to call your client out so that you can challenge their point of views. You've got to think about, how do you build rapport with your best friends, your family, the people that you deal with, and take that attitude into dealing with your clients. Because I know for a fact when one of my best friends turned around to me and said, "Oh, Gary, I really want to cancel my critical illness cover," I was like, "Mate, you can't. One, you were 16 stone when you got it and you're 5'10". You're now 18 and a half stone because you're a bodybuilder. If you cancel this now, you're also 3-4 years older, you're going to lose out." And I was really forceful with him. And about 3 or 4 years ago, he had a tragic accident abroad and broke his back, and he's been in a wheelchair ever since. But that critical illness cover, because he took it out when he was in his mid-20s, completely paid off his mortgage. Now, if I hadn't have been harsh and had that harsh conversation, that's a seriously harsh reality. When my other best friend messaged me and said, "Look, I need to reduce my insurance cover," I just said, you know, well, what happens if something happens to you? What happens if something happens to Jodie? What happens if something happens that means that I've got to take over care of my goddaughter? You need to make sure that you've got this cover in place because X, Y, Z, A, B, C. This is important to you. You throw it back at your friend because you have the confidence and the rapport to be able to do that. You need to build the same rapport with your clients and even say to them, you know, "I'm here as your advisor. If I think that you're doing something that you shouldn't, it's my job to make you aware of that." But you have to build that rapport, and you do that part of it at the end of the strategy call. You should not fear challenging your clients because you are the expert, you are the advisor. If you turn around and went into a consultant to have an operation and you turn around and said, "Oh no, I don't think, Mr. Consultant, I don't think I need heart surgery, I don't think I need another stent," what are they going to do? They're going to turn around and say, "You bloody do," because they're the expert, they're the one who knows more. You know more than your clients. And that's the thing that you need to take into, but you need to build that rapport straight from the off to be able to have those challenging conversations.